Hi everyone, and welcome to the Montessori Show with Simone Davies.
And Jeanne-Marie Paynel, speaking to you from sunny San Diego.
How are you today, Jeanne-Marie?
I am great. I am great. I'm happy to have you here. Happy New Year. This is our first call of 2017. So Happy New Year to everyone and to you. I hope your year has started off well.
Yeah, it's lovely to be back. And today we're going to be talking all about positive discipline. It's the book this by Jane Nelson, and she has a whole series of books for different age groups, for different types of stages of life, and for parents for different situations and things like that. I think it's there's another one. That's the one that says the general.
The general, I have this one, the A to Z, which I really like for the younger children. There's this one for preschoolers. There's another one for 1 to 3-year-olds.
That's the one that says the general. So I have to mute my tab.
The general, I have.
You got it?
Wait, yeah, okay. So they're all here. Okay. So we're all muted. I think everybody. Did you want to do the introduction a little bit about positive discipline? I know you just finished the training.
Yeah, that's right. I was away 2 weekends ago for the Positive Discipline Educator Program, and it was really interesting to see the all the exercises that they put together, which are so comprehensive. It's from everything from dealing with, basically getting on board with your child, to work with them to find solutions, as opposed to just doing things to your child. So I think it really complements the Montessori approach so well, and that's why we're talking about it today. And where I often start some of my parent workshops is to say, oh, you know, the word discipline, we kind of get scared of it because in our heads we think of like spanking and, you know, being really strict and having to shout. And actually positive discipline, the word discipline comes from the Latin term, which means to teach and learn. And so for some reason it's moved to more punishment, and we need to go back to the old kind of style of discipline. Okay, how are we going to move from a place where we're going to teach our child a lesson, and rather how can we build character for when our child comes home when they're 25 and they walk in and they're independent, resilient, thoughtful, generous, you know, these kind of things. So do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, just to give a little bit of background, you know, Jane Nelson did write all these books on positive discipline, but the core of it comes from Adlerian psychology, which is really this understanding that we all need significance and belonging. And that, you know, when we think of it, that a lot of times our children's actions or reactions are most oftentimes just a message to us that they're just wanting significance and belonging. So if we can understand that and you know, read into sometimes some of the behavior, because you know, behavior always has a purpose, then we're just a lot more apt to guide them and to truly discipline them, as you mentioned, you know, the disciple and really the learning. So yes.
The other thing that I always mention, and people are free to leave the call right now if they don't agree, is that it's a long-term approach. So sometimes you don't get the quick fix, but you're basically laying all the foundation for things that are going to come later. And
yes.
I also say, like, all the skills that you practice now, if you have them as toddlers and those kind of things, if you then you'll use them again and just keep layering them on and keep practicing them as your children grow. So with my teenagers, I'm using the same strategies now.
Yes, and what's wonderful about positive discipline, it's not only for children, it's really for your relationship. I mean, it can be coworker, it can be your partner at home, it can be your children. It's really about just training ourselves to just change a little bit of, you know, our habits of how we react, if we understand and have the knowledge of, you know, how the brain functions and why children are reacting the way they are.
Cool.
So
I just wanted to welcome everyone who's joining us. We've got Pamela Green, our friend over in the States. Katka is calling in from Slovakia. She also said that she read The Whole Brain Child based on the recommendation from the summit. Got it for Christmas and read it, and she loved it. Anka's calling in.
Good.
Welcome, Anka. And Katka also said that her husband read Positive Discipline and said it was great too. So thanks everyone who's in the chat room. If you want to join the chat room, you need to be on a desktop or a laptop. It doesn't work on iPads and iPhones yet. So if you want to jump in, you can post things there as well. We've got lots of questions that have come in though, but perhaps before we get started on some of the questions, I did refer to some of the amazing exercises that they talk about in some of the workshops, and I know you have a favorite. Would you like to start there?
Sure. Well, I have just to pick up on what you were saying about the long term. I just want to kind of finish that thought, where one of the activities that I always start all of my workshops with is this idea of creating a list of all of the challenges that we have. And what is fascinating, and I have been, teaching positive discipline to parents for 10 years now, and it's always the same challenges, about not listening and pushing and nap and all of these. So the challenges are universal. And then what we do, and I really welcome you to do this at home too, or with a group of parents and such. So we list all of our challenges, and then let's think about kind of fast forward maybe 15, 20 years from now, where our children are now young adults, and we've invited them to have dinner with us, and they ring the doorbell and we open the door, and these beautiful young adults have all of these qualities, all of these life skills that they've learned, and have these qualities. And I invite the parents to be thinking about the future, what that young adult will be like, and really have them list all of the qualities and life skills that they would really like to see in their children. And so that's why, when someone says it's on a roadmap, that is where we want to get them. So when we say, that we want our child to be generous and respectful and trustworthy and inquisitive and curious and all that, we have to remember all of that when we are disciplining, because that is what we're trying to teach them, to have all those skills. So it really is, when Simone says it's a long term, it's really about thinking about, what I always say, the child is the adult in the making. So what are we really teaching in the reactions that we are having vis-a-vis them?
Yeah, because if you just do with the short term, you might get cooperation by sitting them on a chair in timeout, for example. But actually long term, they're going to work out ways to get around you, or they'll decide to obey you because they're scared, and then there's no openness, there's no future. It means that a teenager is just going to sneak out the window or be very submissive and not become the creative person that we want them to be. Yeah.
Right. So yes, I'd love to start with a little activity. If all of you watching can just take a moment, put whatever, if you are multitasking, put it down so that you can just have join us in this activity. And I would love to have your response in the chat if you are able to respond, or let us know later on. But basically, if you could just free your hand and take a nice deep breath. And then take your right hand, and with your right hand, if you could make the OK sign, just the index to the thumb. Okay, so everybody has an OK sign. And then if you could place that OK on your chin. I did say chin. Please note where you put that OK sign. So I'll take, if anybody could share if they were able to do that, where this ended up. I did say chin. So this to me is one of my very favorite. It's called Do As I Say. And this is really a beautiful explanation of our mirror neurons, that children will do as we do and not as we say. So to be really careful to model what we want to, for them to develop. And so this exercise, I do it live with a group of parents, and it's very funny because a lot of times, people end up with it right here when I did say chin, and I repeat, I said, I did say chin, and they go, oh, and they just, put it all. So it's just that understanding of how important it is to model what we want and not just say.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. So let's get started because we've got lots of nice questions today. And I will warn you that today's call will be about 45 minutes as Jeanne-Marie has a commitment to get to at 12 o'clock. So yes. She'll be running off. But we are going to cover as many questions as we can that have already come in. So the first one's from Jennifer, and she has 29-month-old twins. So she has her happy handfuls, and she's having a tug of war all day because they're going against everything that she's asking them to do or not to do. She's exhausted, and nap time's also turned into a disaster. What do you think?
Yeah. So this is a tough one. I mean, twins of under 3 is definitely a challenge, as we've mentioned before. Is the child, under 3 is this unconscious learner and just, wanting to do whatever they want to do. So, for me, it's really about kind of reframing what you're wanting the end goal to be, and to really give them choices. So I know we've talked many times about choices, but whatever it is that you're wanting them to do or to accomplish, it's more about asking them how they want to participate, or asking them how you can help. So let's say, for example, maybe it's time to put on some socks. Would you like to put on the red socks or the blue socks? So there you're kind of empowering them to make that choice. Of course, there's time when they're going to say no, and they don't want to put any socks. So there it's, would you like mommy to help you, or would you like to put them on? So again, it's about choices and empowering them. And to me, that is really a training that we need to do, because we often are constantly telling our children what to do. And if you think about it, I mean, I don't think any of us would want to be told what to do all day long. So it's really about trying to train yourself to ask questions and ask curiosity questions as to get them to where you want them to the final route. What would be your suggestion, Simone?
Well, yeah, and I also think one of the things I always think of is changing the environment, because often we're having to say no because they're climbing up on the table, or they are banging against a glass cupboard, and then you're having to always say no, no, no. And instead, if that's an issue at the moment, climbing on the table, I've had people actually take all the dining room chairs away, put them in a separate room and close the door so that they can't climb on the table. So at least you don't have to battle everything. Things like people say, oh, they get the remote control on my telephone and don't have them in arm's reach, and those kind of things. I'm sure it's not those things, but they just build up. So if you really make a yes environment where they can play without you having to worry. I mean, I'm all about kids exploring, but if you really can't even get to the toilet without them getting into something, then it's really about maybe even fencing off part of your play area that really is a safe zone and yes place where they can play and be independent.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And another thing, I mean, I might add too, is that sometimes when children, are giving you kind of difficulty, sometimes like bringing them into what you're doing, like, you know, again, this significance and belonging that I was mentioning earlier is really kind of letting them know, like, oh my gosh, I could really use your help right now, because I know I know you know how to do this, or I've seen you do it, and I could really use your help. So again, you're giving them that empowerment, that significance and belonging to you know, get them to where, kind of guiding them to where you want the final result to be.
And the other thing I think is also just about managing our expectations. I mean, these kids under 3 really still need 24/7 supervision. So for us to be able to check our email or do some work, it's actually asking a lot for kids to keep themselves busy. So often it's when we have to cook the dinner or something like that. But as you say, like, we can invite them to join us, or we can bring them into the kitchen where we can keep an eye on them. But yeah, knowing that otherwise we are going to be continually having to ask them, stop doing that, stop doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They know that as soon as our attention's off them, that they can, yeah.
And Jennifer also mentioned, I think, in her question about nap time being a disaster. And as we know, and in positive discipline, we reiterate this notion that sleep, eating, and toileting are 3 things that we have very little control over. These are things that we cannot force a child to do, and we shouldn't even try to. So it's really, again, it's about setting the environment so that it's conducive to whatever it is that we are inviting them to do, and an environment where there will be success, and really very simple routines that we are consistent with, and time, you know, the patience. That is what we can control, is the environment, the routine that we create, and the patience that we give to the situation, and just, you know, be consistent. And for example, for, you know, a 29-month-old who is maybe getting up from the nap or such, is know ahead of time what is your plan, so that you can even share what your plan is. So it's really this notion of, again, doing, you know, really doing what you said you would do. So you're establishing trust. You're establishing trust with your children. So for example, if you have a routine where you put them down for the nap, and, you know, one of them keeps on getting up, you have said beforehand, it's time for us to rest and to lie down and rest. If you are going to get up and come out of the room, I'm going to walk you back in. And that's what you do. And at first, you know, you might be doing it a lot. And I really encourage you to just do it without even needing to talk, because you have told them ahead of time what to expect. So you are going to be consistent in what your reaction is going to be, and very lovingly, you're just bringing them back, because positive discipline is about being kind and firm at the same time. So kindness, because we love and we respect these little humans, and firmness because we respect ourselves and the situation at hand. So I hope that helps you, Jennifer, with the 29-month-old twins.
Mm-hmm. Then we have some questions from Jenny, and it's there's confusion between her husband and her what way is the best to go about bedtime. So basically, it sounds like usually the mum would put the child to bed, but her husband was putting to bed, and the daughter was calling out then for the mum. He was trying to read stories and sing 3 songs, but he was saying that she'd be back soon, but she felt that her husband was getting a bit disappointed or frustrated by the crying. She was suggesting that, you know, maybe that when she's crying, she's upset, she's not hearing what she's saying. So yeah, it goes on for a little bit, but that's basically, to give you a summary, there's only a short amount of time that the dad can spend with the child at the end of each day.
Yeah, and I think what Jenny was getting at too is kind of asking for you know, support and confirmation of how she was trying to explain to her husband how to handle the situation. So there, when we have, you know, a child that is upset, that is distraught, my best recommendation is to really always offer a hug, really offer that connection, that belonging. So, daddy is trying to put his daughter to bed and read the stories, and she's upset because she just wants mommy. And, again, I would also encourage the father to not take this personally. This is just, different times in their lives. And one day she's only going to want the dad and have nothing to do with mom. So it's nothing personal. But in that case where, mom wants to give the father some time, apparently he works a lot outside of the home, so has a very limited time with his daughter. I think it's really important that the father be empowered to say, oh, I can see you're really upset. You really want mommy now. And I'm the one doing the sleep routine right now. Can I give you a hug? Would a hug make you feel better? What do you need from me to make this go well? So that it's really about having the compassion and the empathy for this little girl who, her routine is being a little bit changed up, and dad is there, and to really just say, I'm here for you. I see that you're really upset. I'm aware, and I'm here to help you through this. As opposed to from what I understand from Jenny's comment, is he was just getting frustrated, thinking that, he wasn't capable of connecting with her and calming her and helping her through her sleep routine. So it's just being consistent and being compassionate with this child who wants a different situation than there is.
And I think it's also that kindness and firmness that we were talking about. So in some ways, by him just saying, and I'm here, like you kind of explained, that is not saying, oh, okay, well, I'll go and get mum and she can help out, because kids do show preferences, and they can show really strong preferences, and it can be really heavy for the person who's being pushed away or whatever. And to be able to still say, yeah, I see you're having a hard time with it, and yeah, daddy's putting you to bed today. Yeah, so I guess it's hard for everyone to hear, because the baby's upset, so the mum and the baby's feeling stressed in the living room, and the dad's really just doing his best. So I have empathy for both of them, to be honest, that they're both doing their best. But yes, I think that compassionate, kind, firm approach.
And sometimes, it might be that mom just needs to go take a walk outside, kind of leave the environment, because children sense when you're still right there, on the other side of the wall. I mean, they're so wise. So sometimes it's like, make that your time to, go do some self-care, or maybe go take a bubble bath and kind of, take yourself out of the environment, so there's not even that option. And I think that will also empower dad to take ownership of the situation as well, because when they know that we're right there and that they could just fall back and call us in to rescue the situation, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So sometimes it just means like, make that a routine of just going, going out to the gym outside, or, kind of taking yourself out of the environment.
Cool. The next question is from Jessica, and she says, how do I use positive discipline with my 2-year-old? She's 26 months and will do the opposite of what I say. If I say, let's clean up and put these toys here, she runs the opposite direction. She pulls her sister's hair. I say, be nice, give her hugs and kisses, but she pulls harder. And she used positive discipline with her 5-year-old, but she says that she's finding it difficult with the 2-year-old.
Yes, and just like we said, the child under 3 is really driven by a very, very strong life force and this, unconscious learner. So, and she is at a time also where she has figured out that she is a full-fledged individual, and she can say no, and she has the choice to say no. So again, just like the first comment, it's really about giving her choices and making it fun of, the routine. So again, it's not like it's time to clean up. It's like, oh my goodness, what do we need to do so we don't step on any toys in the room? it's a curiosity question, and she probably is going to, say we need, and there you can say, oh, would you like some help, or do you want to do it by yourself? Or do you want to put the blue blocks away and I put the red blocks? And again, it's really about, doing it together as a partnership, and giving her the choices, because she is in this very, very important time of life where they are developing their will. And so we need to really help them develop this will. And the best possible way to do that is to give them choices so that they can make those choices for themselves. Always simple choices, only two. Don't give a whole list of choices. It's really just two that you are 100% okay with. So, if like always think about those choices, because you can't go back once you've given the choice and they've decided that's the one they want to choose. You have to go along with it. So that would be how I would go about it. Do you have another suggestion?
Yeah, I think this is also really difficult, because sometimes you ask a question and they're okay with it, and other times they do. You can give them a choice and they still run the opposite direction. But sometimes I think we try not to engage. We try to count to 10 to see if we just count to 10 in our head, I should say, not aloud. Right. Give them time to process. Oh, right, mum really actually means that. She's not going to chase me around and make this a game. I'm not winding her up. So often around this age, they're also testing our limits. They want to say, oh, what happens when I run the other direction? Will mum just pack away for me? How does it work? And yeah, like I definitely think side by side packing away would be appropriate for a 2-year-old. Pulling their hair. It is a lot of reminders, like, oh, we're gentle. Oh, and translating on this, if the sister is older and she's kind of getting frustrated, I think your sister's saying that she doesn't like that, and kind of helping that situation. And the other thing is though, even if they know they're not meant to pull their hair, sometimes they just can't help themselves, And I think I often give the example of me eating, going to a party, and I say, okay, I'm definitely not going to have any cake today. I'm going to be really good because I really like my sugar. And then before I know it, I'm eating the cake. It's like I knew the rule, but I lost control. And kids under 3 are very, very impulsive. Actually, yeah, we're all very impulsive. So they see the hair and then all of a sudden they give it a pull. So I guess it doesn't solve the problem, but it does show when you see things from their perspective, instead of getting frustrated by it, you're like, oh, thanks for reminding me that it was too tempting again, and let me help you and support you through this.
Yes, and I think also there, when a child is pulling hair, again, I don't think that there's this real intentional, meanness or, oh, I'm going to go hurt her. It's just kind of, maybe out of frustration and something, and they pull hair there. To me, it's very, very important to show that firmness. So you can very well go over to your child, come down to her level, take her hand firmly, look at her in her eyes and say, I cannot let you do that. That hurts your sister, and I cannot let you hurt anybody. I love you, and I cannot let you hurt anyone. So that it's this, you are in charge and you are helping her and you're guiding her as to what is appropriate and not. So it's not about, no, you can't, no, you're mean, no, you're bad. It's more about, I am in charge and I cannot let you do that. So I hope that makes sense.
And one other thing also, going back to the very first exercise, which is showing them. So often we're saying, oh, pack away your toys, but we're sitting on our bottoms over here. And sometimes we need to actually get up and say, oh, look, that tray goes here on the shelf, and actually having to get up and physically show them. It takes a lot more physical effort, but actually it's much less of a battle when our actions are there and they see, oh yeah, mum's actually helping and doing that too.
Yes, that, and also, your point of earlier that you said the environment, sometimes much to without unknowingly, we have way too much in our environment for the children. And so there's just a lot of toys, and it just gets overwhelming to have to put everything away. So I like to really simplify the environment and really minimize the amount of toys that are out, so that when it is time to clean up, it doesn't seem like a big, huge deal and a big mountain of things to put away.
And kids are always, parents are always surprised when their kids pack away in our classroom and not at home. And it's like, but always the puzzles go in exactly the same place. And there's a spot where we hang up the broom and everything is in its place. So really being conscious when you're setting up your home environments to have a place for everything and everything in its place. But that's a whole other story. But I think we've done a lot of work on setting up the homes. You can go back and watch some of the last.
Yes.
So we move on to the next one?
Sure.
The next one is from Sylvia. And it's difficult for her to get her daughter dressed. It can take from 5 to 40 minutes to get her dressed, and can dress independently if she wants to, but sometimes they just need to go. So then she's lying her down and saying, oh, I'm going to dress you, and she's talking her through it as she's getting her dressed, and her daughter maybe is upset about it, but she's being kind but firm. But she says her problem now is if she stays firm, she's worried that the child's never going to learn to dress themselves, and she doesn't want her to just lay down and be passive. So there is that balance, isn't there? So her question is doubting this approach, like at what point do I just lay her down and get her dressed versus...
And how old is the child, do we know?
She's just under 2.
Okay. So again, this is sometimes just significant, belonging, wanting to connect. That they know how to do it, but suddenly they're just like, oh no, I can't. And it's funny because I sometimes relate to it as I know how to make dinner every night and cook a meal and set the table and all of this, and there's some days where I don't want to, and I would much rather get some help. So, I like to think of it like, yes, we know that they can do it, but sometimes they just want a little extra connection, a little extra help. And I think it's okay. I think we can, have fun with it and say, oh, are you wanting some help today? Or, I know you know how to get dressed, but you're just, being silly, and just go along with it. So there's that. And then again, coming back to the choices, I'm sorry, I'm sounding like a broken record, but to me, that is really a very important tool, is give her the choice of, would you like to put on your pants by yourself? Do you want mommy to help you? Or, again, at the beginning, giving her a choice of what she's going to wear. Again, only two outfits of, this one or that one. If they mix match, to me, I think it's okay. It's part of them, expressing their personality and their fashion sense. And then at times, and this, I don't know if you're trying to get her dressed to bring her somewhere or to bring her to school, but I know for myself, having been in the classroom, I often told parents, it's okay to bring your child half dressed or in their pajamas, and they will get dressed here because we know that they can do it. So that to me is something that you can also kind of plan ahead and really let her know, would you like some help getting dressed? Or even have fun maybe with a song, like let's put on a song, and by the end of the song, we're both dressed, and, have fun with it. Even have a little race, you get dressed, she gets dressed, whatever you want to do. But if you come to a point where she's not getting dressed, you can also say, would you like to get dressed before we leave the house? Or are you going to be we can take your clothes and you can get dressed at school. So again, these are two choices, but you need to be 100% okay with them. And of course you need to have, made sure that the school is okay with it. But I know that kind of, for me, gave parents a little bit more kind of flexibility. Like they didn't have to do it themselves at home. It was like there was this other option. So, maybe try something like that. And for me, I know that the children that, did that, they only came to school one time. in their pajama and never did it again. Like it was something that, you know, wasn't a consequence that they didn't really like. And there's, you know, I didn't humiliate or anything like that. It was just like, oh my goodness, you're going to get dressed here today. And that's it. And they would very quickly.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks Sylvia for your question. And moving on to Lasmila, and she has quite a few questions, so we'll see how many we can get to. The first is her daughter. I think she's around 2 years old from what I remember. She's eating with her hands a lot because she's watching her baby brother. They're trying to say in advance, like, we use our cutlery to eat, we use our fork to eat, and those kind of things. And they offer help if she doesn't want to use her cutlery, but then she kind of takes advantage of it and won't eat by herself. So then, yeah, basically her husband is saying, like, I think we should take away her privileges to have a story at night or something like that to make a consequence. But it's definitely, they're challenged by the situation.
So there, it's important to remember to pick our battles. Okay, so there it would be, what's more important is that she uses the cutlery or that she actually and you know is getting nutrition. So, you know, there again, and know that this is just a stage, that if she has a younger brother or, you know, a younger sibling, it's a stage of, oh, I'm a baby too and I need your attention and so forth. So again, it's have humor, have fun with this. You know, it's like, oh, I see that you're wanting to eat like your brother. How about we show him? Let's show him how we use our cutlery, so that we're, you know, giving her the opportunity to show that she is older and that she, you know, is able to do these things. So, you know, so there's that, you know, again, kind of having fun with it, but I would be very, very careful as to these taking away privileges. I don't believe there's any good that comes out of that, because you know, not reading a story because you're not using your cutlery makes no sense. They're completely dissociated. So if you don't use your cutlery, your hands are going to be dirty and you're going to need to go wash your hands. That's the natural consequence. You know, to take away a toy or going to the park or reading a story because you're not doing something at the dinner table doesn't make any sense. So being really careful about that. And so again, it would be, you know, choices and maybe asking for her help, of showing her younger sibling how to do it properly. Maybe even if you know, I don't know the age of the sibling, but maybe she could help feed him so that she feels again empowered to be older and to model the right way.
I mean, you can also have less food on the plate, you know, so it's not a matter of playing with it and choosing less mushy foods at that moment just till this phase kind of passes. So more breadsticks and things like this, so you can just hand them one by one as they don't play with it and that kind of thing. I'm also okay with saying to a child who's consistently week after week, you know, having trouble with their meal, to say, oh, are you telling me you're all done? Okay, thanks for letting me know, and we'll put it away. And then we really don't fill them up with snacks and all these other things. And then they're just learning, okay, well, I can't, that was too far, that, you know, that crossed my mum's limit. Because I think we have to also be really careful that if it's bothering us a lot and becoming an issue in our family, it means that we need to show the kids that that's a really important limit for us. And so we're going to stop the meal. And then it really doesn't take long before they realize, oh, actually, I want to eat more than I want my mum to take my food away. That would be more in extreme circumstances, but children can't starve themselves at this age. So, you know, it's something.
And I would also be careful that these meals be family meals, so that that the adults are also modeling how to use, you know, what are the cultures table etiquette, because oftentimes a lot of the families that I work with, I realize that the children are eating by themselves, so they have no role model. They don't, they don't necessarily see. So being aware again of that environment and that there's good modeling going on.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
It happens a lot too. The next question she had was how to get her daughter to do things independently, because they've tried games to see who does it first. You wear one and I'll help you with the other. But she's quickly learned to ask for help every time she has to get dressed. And sometimes like she's lying on the floor. So similar issues that she's moaning until she eventually dresses her. And she knows that it has to do with her little brother being around, as she didn't used to do it before, and maybe a call for attention. But yeah, it's also making them more frustrated.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry to to say this to Luzmila, that this is a stage, and the fact that she is in that stage of, first of all, kind of pushing back, and I'm a full-fledged individual. I can make choices. I can say no, and at the same time, having a younger sibling at this time of that, in this developmental window, can be quite challenging and quite difficult. So again, I would really work on our own patience and our own kind of the knowing that this is just a moment in time, and this too shall pass, and to really empower her to make good choices, and to offer choices. And, oh my gosh, are you having a hard time getting dressed, on your own? I can help you a little bit, but I think you know how to get dressed on your own. And, let's maybe, could you help me maybe get your brother dressed with me? And again, kind of getting her to be your helper, and giving her that significance and belonging that she is most probably just really, really hungry for at this time.
Yeah. I think we've covered a lot of getting dressed and these kind of things, and it is a lot of patience and repetition, and getting them involved and working alongside them and giving them cuddles and connection. Sometimes we need to connect really for the first 5 minutes during the day, where we're reading books and snuggling in bed before we even try to ask their cooperation with something, because if it's just like you said, being asked to do one thing after the other, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and also, sometimes when there's these routines that are suddenly taking a little bit more time, give yourself more time. Like, rearrange your little routine. Sometimes it might mean that you need to get up maybe, 10 minutes beforehand, so that you can do what you need to do, so that you're not multitasking while you're trying to help your child get dressed. So there's time where we kind of have to rearrange our own routines to be able to be fully connected, like Simone says, and taking that time to really connect with them before we are, expecting results.
Cool. So shall we do one last one? Otherwise you're going to run out of time.
That's okay. Yes, let's do one more. And my apologies. I have this wonderful event that I'm attending, and it starts right when we end. So I'm packed and ready to go. So my apologies for cutting it a little bit short this time around. I hope all the parents can understand that.
Yeah. So how to get our daughter to not scream. Lately, she seems to be angry all the time. Immediately, as soon as she asks for something and we explain why not, she screams furiously, and sometimes even practices in front of the mirror. And it can be for anything, if to have a bath or to do something by herself. And they always try to be patient to get her to do the things. But lately, she's finding that they're trying to help her so that she doesn't scream. So she was asking if she could help prepare the brother's formula, but it became so difficult that they had to then make a rule that it was really going to be the parents. So she wants her to understand the reason more, and are we asking too much?
Yes, you kind of are asking too much, because remember, before 3, they do not have a reasoning mind. So she just wants to help. She just wants to do it. So I think what would be good is maybe giving her a similar activity that she can maybe do in parallel, where she might think that she's preparing the formula, but it's not, or it's, something else, or maybe, or doing something else, but giving her that significance of belonging that sounds like she's really hungry for these days. So finding, something that you can give her to be involved, to keep her hands busy, to feel like she is, has purpose and has that significance. And then the screaming to me is, those are limits. I know for me, it was really about using our indoor voices, and that, you can say, and even when she's, practicing in front of the mirror and things, is that, oh my goodness, you have such a loud, beautiful voice, and let's practice singing and having more singing. Maybe you have an opera singer on your hands, you have to follow the child, and if there's a need for her to speak loud and express, it's important to kind of nurture that in a positive way. But the screaming for just screaming, I really just, oh my goodness, that hurts my ears. That hurts my ears. You know what? I think if we want to use our loud voice, we can go outside. Outside is a good place to use our loud voice. But when we're inside, we talk softly. And again, we need to model that and talk very, very softly. I remember at times, when children would get kind of loud in the classroom, I would go up to them and whisper, so that they have to kind of bring it down, and then they model the whole whispering. So, really kind of bringing your voice down, because we tend to go, higher, and our voice gets louder and such. So it's really about modeling it and bringing it back down. And then just, that is a rule, like in the house, we need to use our indoor voices. Can you show me? Can I hear what your indoor voice looks like? And really, again, encourage that positive behavior.
Yeah, I think also it depends what's happening with the screaming. If it's more like you say that she can't help and then she throws a tantrum, then it's a kind of a different thing. It has to almost come out in some ways, like you can't hold it back in, and then it's like, oh yeah, you found that really difficult that we said you couldn't help. It doesn't mean you change your mind, but you empathize with it. Yeah, that was difficult. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and definitely. Like, this safe place where they can let out their ugly feelings. I'm having trouble dealing with my new brother, so yeah, you actually also sometimes allowing this explosion, if it's that what it is. If it's screaming to get attention, that might be slightly different. But I think, yeah.
Yes, well, I hope this was all very helpful. I know we kind of, touched on all sorts of different points, but I do really encourage, looking into the positive discipline, reading. There's some, like I showed earlier, there's some specific books to the different age groups that are really wonderful. And I just wanted to share one last thing. Jane Nelson and some other authors developed this deck of cards that is positive discipline parenting tools. And it actually exists also as an app. And it's really 52 of some of the tools that exist that are just, you can just pull one and just try it, or just, look at the different ones, and you have all of these wonderful ideas. And the phone one, from what I understand, you just shake it and you get whatever one comes up. And I encourage you to try all of those and look to the different solutions.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's also a website where you can find positive discipline courses in your area. So that might be something that I can try and link to. I'll send a recording of this, and I'll send that through as well, because then you actually become a part of a group. It's sometimes held over like 7 weeks, and you can start to have an issue and they role play the issue for you, where you're your child and you see what it feels like to be your child in that situation. And then you brainstorm ideas together about what's going on. And then you can try one of those solutions at home. And then the following week you can report back. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer work as well that goes on in those groups, because it's not like we have all the magic answers. It's applying these positive discipline approaches. It's about, rather than punishment and rewards, about working with the children to give them long-term solutions. I think is the big picture of this positive discipline approach. So we recommend you all try it at home. And yeah, hopefully maybe we should do another one of these in 6 months.
And I'm actually, as you're talking, Simone, I'm thinking like maybe we should offer something, you know, like that is specifically to talking about the specific tools. So not answering the questions, but really trying out these tools and kind of giving you homework of things to try. So if that's something, you know, all of our viewers are interested in, maybe we could, nice and juicy for that. So something we'll talk offline about that.
Now, Jeanne-Marie, the next Montessori show is the last Friday of February.
Yes, and that's February 24th. I know that you are on holiday with your children, so I think I will go ahead and do the show either by myself and just answering your questions, or have a special guest that can join me, and we will let you know who that might be, and you know, if there's a specific topic. So we will definitely let you know before February 24th.
Cool. All right. Well, have a great event today, and everyone have a lovely evening or day, and we'll see you all next month.
And a wonderful weekend, and see you at the end of February. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, Simone.
Bye, Jeanne-Marie.